All right, so I've got like around 50 Ryobi tools here that I want to kind of just go over quickly. These are tools that are for both woodworking, they're for their outdoor power equipment, and yeah, that's pretty much everything. Oh, car buffers, everything. So stay tuned and we'll go through each one. So first and foremost, I have these Ryobi buffers. I use them on my car. Sometimes I use them to clean with. Um, I got the hand one more so for like cleaning, and then obviously this one I use on the cars. Which, to be honest, I don't use them that much because I have very old cars. The paint jobs are not that great, so I don't really have the greatest need for these. Back in the day, yeah, they were a lot more necessary because my cars were newer and they actually had a decent paint job. Now it doesn't seem to make much sense to be buffing out a car with old chipping paint, or you got a bunch of dents in your car. So these have been long time purchase. They still work and they're okay for what they are. All right, so this here is a glue gun, and I'm gonna be honest. We have corded glue guns, or my wife does in her office. I just thought it would be nice to have one for the shop, and that's and obviously it fits in the Ryobi line. It's battery operated. I've never used it. I have it. I've never used it. I have brand new glue sticks somewhere around here. I'm sure maybe it works fine, but it's one of those tools that you think it's a good idea, so you buy it and then you just don't use it. But not to say that I would never use it. I just have not come up on a project where I did need it, and I also didn't want to take my wife's glue gun out of her office and bring it out here in my shop and get it torn up. So I bought my own. These are my Forstner bits. I know I do have the other two. They're around here somewhere, probably in some kind of a tool chest or something. Obviously, I haven't taken care of them as I should. And then I also have this set of Ryobi router bits. I also have all of these as well. They're just kind of spread out all over the place. I use them. I use this with my router table, which we'll go over shortly, but this is just tool kits. This here is a inflator, deflator. I use this quite a bit. I use this on my bicycles. I think I've used it on one of my cars before, but I don't have to use it on the car now because I do have a compressor which I can use, but in a pinch I can use this. This is a pretty handy little device. You put the battery in the bottom there and it gives you the functionality. You can blow up inflatables, and you can I primarily just use it for inflating the tires on my bicycle. So for that purpose, I feel like it is a fairly inexpensive product, and I think it's super useful, and it's fairly small, so it's easy to store away. So I don't regret this purchase. So this here is a 300 watt power inverter. It works off the 40-volt system. It's okay. It does have a USB charging port, and also a regular 120, and then you also have a USB-C port for charging on the side. Now, to be honest, I do not believe that this product actually does sine wave. I don't believe it does sine wave power, so I honestly would not trust this with, like, say, laptops or anything expensive. I'll plug a phone into it though, or something minor, but I just don't feel confident about plugging it into, like, say, my MacBook or my Surface Book. It does also have a light feature right there, and overall, in a pinch, it's not bad. I have used it on a couple little road trips when we go down to the Bay Area, and you know, it works for topping up, you know, phones and keeping that type of stuff. Or like an inexpensive tablet, like say like our kids have Kindle tablets. I'll use it for that, because I wouldn't be completely heartbroken if those got destroyed. But something more expensive, I probably wouldn't trust it. I'd have to look into the literature, but I'm pretty sure, you know, at the price point that this comes in at, and being that it's Ryobi, that it's more than likely not a sine wave, which is a clean signal which protects electronic devices. Could be wrong, but I don't think it is. It still could be a kind of handy tool if you need power on the go. You can use it for camping, or, you know, like I said, just road trips, going to the beach or whatever. It gives you a little bit of power. You can hook a small radio up to it, or, you know, do whatever you like. And if you're bolder or more confident than me, you can plug in your laptops and power them up with a 40-volt battery, which I have over here. So this is a 40-volt battery here, pretty weighty. This is only a 2.6 amp hour 40 volt, and you know, you just set it up like this. You see the little connectors, and it just, trying to do this one-handed. Essentially, you just slide this on here and click it in, and then you should have the light function. How does that work? Is it in? Oh, it's not on there properly. Let me try to get that on there right. Okay. Oh, there we go. So there you go. You got your light functionality. So you got to hit this button here, and then you get your light. So anyways, that's your 300 watt inverter. And then, you know, obviously if you got a tablet or a laptop, you want to make sure it's not drawing more than 300 watts, or else you're gonna be in trouble, and it'll, you know, kill this fairly rapidly. So this is not a long-term solution, but definitely for a smartphone, it will work out pretty well. Side of things, we have a Ryobi One Plus light here. It let's see, looks like it's loose here. You just tighten it up to get it positioned. It's got a little hook here for you to be able to hang it on something. Also, the stand here gives you the ability to like hang it over a 2x4 or rafter or something. On the back here, you notice that it has the prongs, so you can use an extension cord, so you can run it off of AC power, or you can use the battery. So that is a nice functionality. I like the dual power of the device, so that if you did run low on your batteries, you can still use the light. I use this quite a bit, like when I'm working on my car and I'm up under it or something, or hanging on the hood. So it's useful. It works. It does the job, and it is not super expensive. So this is not a purchase that I regret. Have a little shearer shrubber tool by Ryobi. It's an 18-volt tool. As you can see, I have the regular shearing blade on there, which you can unscrew this to remove it and put on this small, like I don't know, like an edge or a trimmer, which obviously I've never used because I actually have a full-size one that I use, so I've not had to use that. But yeah, it works. It does the job. It's, you know, I wouldn't say it's super heavy duty or robust, but for small little branches or small little trimmings, it works perfectly well. Again, Ryobi tools, they're fairly inexpensive, and if you don't push them too hard, they can last you for a while. So I don't have any particular complaints about this tool. and yeah, I use it. I have two Ryobis, one plus little vacuums or whatever. They're both 18 volt. This is the older model. This is the newer model. They actually, you know, you put the 18 volt bottom battery in the bottom of this one, and then it actually goes in the end of this one. But they have similar connectors on the top to take off the mouth here. There's a little filter on the inside. They're okay. They're not super powerful or anything. Both of them have a little brush apparatus that usually fits up under here, and obviously both of them have fallen off. They're here somewhere in the shop, but it's okay for picking up small things. It's not, it doesn't have the highest degree of suction, but for light jobs, you can get away with it. And I think these are only like $40 or something like that at Home Depot. So, I mean, if you wanted it, you can get it, but you know, it is what it is. It's not, don't expect super suction from it. As I said, light jobs, low pile carpet or sawdust, you know, on a smooth surface, you know, it'll do okay. And obviously with it being so small, it has fairly small capacity, so it's just for really small jobs. But I have two because this one I purchased, I had it for many years, and then I think what it was is my kids or whatever are getting older, and so they'll help out cleaning up. And so when we'd be vacuuming, you know, they would want to help, so I got a second one so they can kind of share the vacuums and, you know, help out cleaning up around the house. That's that. The little right angle screwdriver that I purchased. It's nice. It's light duty, really light duty work, you know, stuff like, you know, screwing in, you know, outlet covers and stuff like that. You're not going to really strip anything out or tear anything up, but it actually has no kind of driving power. But obviously it's going to help you, you know, if you have any kind of, you know, issues with your hands or wrists with using a regular screwdriver. It's just got a magnetic bit holder on the end. It does have the LED lights there to give you illumination, and it runs on a 4-volt battery that plugs into like a little charging base. So it's not universal to the rest of the Ryobi battery lineup, but I purchased this a long time ago, and I'll use it on occasion. I actually have some upgraded kit that I use now more so than this. My wife will like take this and go use it whenever she needs it. Here is a straight version of that previous screwdriver. It's you know, you got your forward and reverse switch here, magnetic bit holder, and just the kind of paddle switch here. It now the charging, I'm not quite sure what is the volt. Yeah, this is a 4-volt battery, and it actually just has a plug that goes in there, just like a DC adapter plug. So this is even different from the previous screwdriver, which actually has a cylinder battery that screws out and goes into a charging dock. This just has a charging brick with the DC adapter to charge. And this is obviously for more straight areas where you really need to get into a location that maybe a regular drill won't accommodate. As I said with the previous one, not a lot of power in this device, but for light screwdriving tasks, it works, and fairly inexpensive. This here is my cat sander by Ryobi. It's an 18-volt tool. Pretty high off of your work surface. It, you know, simple on and off. There's no variable speed. There's absolutely no dust collection with this thing. It attaches the actual sandpaper by Velcro pad on the bottom. I haven't had any issues with it. I don't have another like a DeWalt or a Milwaukee cat sander to compare it to, so I can't really give you a whole lot of information about you know, if it's super good or not. I do have a Harbor Freight corded cat sander, which, you know, I'd have to put those side by side to see if they're comparable or whatever. But I got this primarily because it's got the little corner there. So if I'm sanding, you know, you can get up in corners with that. So that's the reason for that purchase. This here is my sheet sander by Ryobi. It is an 18-volt tool. It has this little flat dust collection bag, which I mean, it's okay. You can't hook any other kind of dust collection to this thing unless you basically made something that was rectangular like this and then made a typical cylinder attachment so that you could hook a shop vac to it. So basically the dust collection on this is, you know, marginal at best. It just has the conventional bars that you just flip around to attach, and it's yeah, it's a pretty useful sander. I did upgrade this particular product, and I now have the DeWalt sheet sander. So primarily I use that as opposed to this, but I do have it, and it's good for like if I'm out here in the shop with, like, say my wife and kids, and if they need to sand something, it just gives me a secondary option to be able to use so that everybody can be involved. This here is my Ryobi random orbital sander. It is another 18-volt tool. As you can see here, it is not variable speed. It is just on and off. You have your dust collection port, and you can hook dust collection to this particular tool. It's got the Velcro attached sand paper there. I find these sanders by Ryobi, because of the battery, are really high up off the work, but when you put the battery in there, it's decently balanced, and you know, it works fine. This is another tool that I've actually upgraded with a DeWalt brushless orbital sander, and you know, as I said, I just kept this one around just in case my wife or the kids come out and they want to work in the shop. There's another option to be used. So there's my Ryobi orbital sander. This is a little just a little light or lantern or whatever. I believe this may have come with a kit, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember which kit because I've had this for forever. It's not very bright at all, but you know, it is a light source if you need one in a pinch. It's an 18-volt tool, just very rudimentary, just on off button and go. As I said, if you needed it in a pinch, it's there, and you know, super cheap. I wouldn't call it super bright or durable, but you know, as I said, it probably came with one of my other tools that I can't remember. This here is my Ryobi benchtop grinder buffer. It is still new, basically. I actually just opened this out of the box maybe a month or so ago, maybe a couple months ago, and I just have the parts, the rest of the components just sitting on the shelf over there. I haven't even hooked it up or got it working. I bought this tool basically because I was going through a phase with my Ryobi tools before I started really investing heavily in other brands. I just wanted to have every tool that I needed or that I thought I would need, and since Ryobi was inexpensive, I just went through this habit of just basically collecting, you know, the different tools, because it's like, oh, you know, I may want to sharpen a file or buff something out. So I picked this up, and being that I never got around to doing it, I mean, I do have files, but I have, or not files, what do you call it? I'm having a brain fart on chisels. That's what I mean, chisels. I haven't, you know, done enough chiseling work to need to sand any of, or to, I have not done enough chiseling work that requires them to be sharpened. And so I just, you know, bought it brand new, and yeah, who knows? I could probably plug this in and it may not even work, because I have had that happen to one of my Ryobi tools before, where it did work initially, and then I just kind of turned it on, tried it out, and then when I went back to use it, it didn't work anymore. So that could happen with this. But so that's my Ryobi benchtop grinder if I need it. This here is my Ryobi cutout tool. It's 18 volt, just simple on-off switch. There's no variable speed to it. Use it a couple times. You use it to, kind of cut out, sheetrock, or also you can, you can carve in wood if you wanted to with this, but that's not really the purpose of it. I can't remember. There was a specific reason why I bought this tool, and I bought it and I used it, and then now it's just kind of, it sits there. I think about using it on times, but like I said, if you don't need to use it, then it just kind of sits. But as I say, oftentimes, like when you think about like a tool like this, I don't think you could rent it. So and then the amount of money you would pay to rent it, by the time you rent it a couple times, it would be, you would have been able to buy the tool. So that's where, again, the Ryobi brand shines, in the sense that if you need a tool once or twice, you don't break the bank. You have a tool that can do a job, even though you may only do it, who knows, you may do it once in your lifetime, but it's there. So there again, it's just a Ryobi 18 volt cutout tool. This is my Ryobi 18 volt multi-tool. It's got the paddle switch. It is a simple, configuration here. Looks like it's got a magnetic shoe here. Not 100% sure why. The bit is changed with the Allen key here, and I'll use this to cut off like like nails that maybe protrude through work, or sometimes I'll use it to cut certain sections out of wood, or you could use it with drywall or whatever. Multi-tools are very, very useful. This one's not overly powerful, but if you take your time, you can get the job done. And as I said, that Ryobi thing, fairly cheap. So if you have to do a job, it may not be the nicest, it may not be as comfortable as it may be if you had a higher end brand of tool like this, but you can get the job done. And if it's a heavy job, you may tear it up and it'll be like disposable, but mine has survived because I don't use it a lot. And yeah, Ryobi multi-tool. Here is my Ryobi 18 volt Sawzall. This thing will beat you to death. I mean, there's like not a lot of, what do you call it? You see there's kind of like a little bit of play right here, this rubberized handle. That's supposed to be for like shock absorption, I guess. But this thing is, it's pretty brutal. And as far as power is concerned, I wouldn't necessarily say it's that powerful. However, if you're patient, you get a decent blade on it, it'll get the job done. I've used this from everything from cutting wood to like trimming branches, off of trees or thick, weeds. I'll use this, and it's a handy tool to have. I mean, the name says it all. It's a sawzall, meaning you can saw all kinds of things. You can saw nails if you need to, or whatever you need to do with the appropriate blade. And it is a toolless blade release. You just flip this up and the blade comes in and out. Not super expensive. I know they do have an upgraded model, and I believe that like pretty much all of Ryobi's tools now have gone up in price. So you want to really check and make sure and see what the difference is between, because this is a Home Depot brand, between what's the difference in cost between like a Ryobi and or a Milwaukee or DeWalt product of the same type. And if you're going to be using that tool a lot, you may want to go ahead and spring for the more expensive tool, just because of not just warranty but the durability. Because Ryobi's a homeowner brand. I know that they're talking about being more of a like a contractor type brand, but you know, I would feel more comfortable if you're going to be doing really heavy work, going with something that is tried and true in the trades, because those tools may only last a tradesman 5, 6, 7 years, maybe 10 years, and some of them a lifetime. So imagine if you're a homeowner and you're only doing jobs every so often, maybe building a deck or, you know, tearing out something or whatever, that tool would probably be able to be passed down, you know, to your children, you know, whereas the Ryobi brand, I don't know if I would say that that's the truth, or that is true. So but anyways, my Ryobi Sawzall. So this right here is my Ryobi 18 volt palm router. You can see here, I've used this on a couple jobs. It works, it does the job. I really have to kind of put it in a close competition with the Milwaukee that I purchased to see if, you know, the quality is a lot is way different. A lot of tools I have duplicates like this one, because I've actually transitioned, and after I bought all these Ryobi tools, I decided that I wanted to go ahead and move on to different brands. And one of the main reasons for that was because I actually wanted to go all battery. And both DeWalt and Milwaukee offer battery operated table saws, and so that was the direction that I wanted to go in. Ryobi offers a miter saw that's battery operated, but they do not offer a table saw. So that's why I started kind of moving away from purchasing Ryobi tools, and why I have a Milwaukee palm router. But again, if somebody wants to work with me in the shop, one of the kids or my wife, here's another router that can be used. This is my Ryobi brushless grinder. It I use this quite a bit, you know, because with me being a fairly inexperienced woodworker, and sometimes not being as prepared as I need to be, there's a lot of times where I'll put a screw in a piece of wood and it may blow through the other side, and this becomes my best friend. I'll either use this or I'll use the multi-tool to cut off the extra screw or nail, or if say something gets kind of bent out of shape, or sometimes when I reuse wood for projects, I'll actually will use this to, if I can't get the screw out for some reason, or if I'm being lazy, I'll simply take this and cut it, you know, cut it right on off. This is like, I would have to say, a grinder like this is like one of my favorite tools. You know, eventually I do plan on upgrading this to, I think from my research, I think the Flex Volt one is highly rated. So when I do get rid of this particular one or whatever, when I'm in the market, I will be getting the Flex Volt to replace this. I would get the Milwaukee, but from my research and different videos I've watched, the Milwaukee one seems to overheat. And, you know, so I'll probably go with the Flex Volt on that. Here is a very simple Ryobi drill screw gun, 18 volt. It was super cheap. Looks like it is a hammer drill. Looks like, oh no, not a hammer drill. It's just a drill function. It's got a little bubble level in the top, 2 speeds. It's got the magnetic base. It's a pretty big drill, you know. It's very old school plastic chuck. I almost never use this. I actually bought this because it came in a kit. Maybe the light came with this, but I do know there was a small, like I want to say a 7, not a 7, like a 5 or 6 inch saw, circular saw that came with this, and it was pretty inexpensive. And so, and I actually bought that circular saw because I had took my Milwaukee saw, which was my original saw, and I put it on a Craig rip cut. And you know, I just wanted a secondary saw to be able to cut things, so I didn't have to take the Milwaukee saw off of the Craig rip cut. So that's how I ended up with this drill. It's brushed. You know, it'll do in a rush. You know, if you hardly ever do anything, this, you know, drill could probably work for you perfectly fine. Again, you know, if you're a person that's not used to using tools and you don't know how, and you haven't compared it to say like a Milwaukee or a DeWalt, then you'll be none the wiser. Now you may be sore and you'll wonder why you're sore, but when you use tools that are not built, you know, for professional quality, sometimes it can be a little bit more rough on the body. But if, you know, you're only doing a project once, you know, it doesn't necessarily make sense to spend a lot of money on tools unless you know you're going to be using them over and over again. And for myself personally, I am, you know, a person that is DIY pretty much everything. So I always have use for tools, and, you know, but this is just a little drill that I picked up in a kit. Here is a specialty drill that I purchased. It is an 18 volt right angle drill by Ryobi, brushed motor. It's just forward and reverse, and it's got the Jacobs chuck on it, plastic, and it does have a little work light there. This is one of those tools. It's very similar to like the cutout tool that I needed it for a particular project. I purchased it and I have probably not used it since. But as I said, you know, with Ryobi tools, they're, you know, quite inexpensive. Now, obviously, if you buy too many of them, it can be quite pricey. But being that it was not super expensive, and as I said, if I need this tool in the future, you know, I have it. You know, who knows, you know, as I progress on to like Milwaukee and the DeWalt platforms, I probably would replace a tool like this if need be. But I have the 5-in-1 drill drivers, so they can kind of replace this right angle attachment functionality. So may not need it, and, you know, for right now, it's just a tool that kind of sits in the shop. It's there if I need it, but it is not one that I use on a daily basis. Here is my Ryobi electric planer, and I purchased this because, as I said, being a butcher in the wood shop, as you know, whenever I think everybody when they're first starting out is a butcher, and then they become more and more refined. And so sometimes I put things together and they may be out of level or out of whatever, and, you know, it's just too much to sand, and that's where this planer comes in. It helps me to kind of get things trimmed down and true. And you know, I've used this quite a bit because of my growing skill set, and I've actually replaced this tool with I was gonna get the 18 volt Ryobi, but, you know, as I said before, you know, as I was starting to progress on to different platforms, the Milwaukee and the DeWalt, I went ahead and replaced this with a DeWalt brushless planer. I would have gotten the Milwaukee, but the Milwaukee is a brushed planer, and, you know, I didn't see the reason to buy the brush tool when the brushless was about the same price. And you know, brushless tools are typically you know, more powerful and more energy efficient, so I went with that brand. Again, like I said, it's a Ryobi planer. Use it quite a bit. You know, the max depth is 1/8 of an inch that it can take off at a time. And, you know, if I needed to, I would still use it. But for right now, you just got the dust chutes on both sides. You can expel the chips on either side. And this is the switch to determine which side it's going to come out. Again, this is a corded Ryobi planer, electric planer. This is one of my newer Ryobi purchases. I purchased this because at the time when I purchased it, I was looking for a bandsaw, a portable bandsaw, but I wasn't ready to spend the higher amount of money that it would cost to get the DeWalt or the Milwaukee. I believe this one was like maybe $129 or something. It's pretty cheap or whatever, so that's why I picked it up. So I get the functionality, and it was inexpensive. You know, I possibly will replace it with a Milwaukee or a DeWalt bandsaw in the future. But as you can see, you put your 18 volt battery here. This lever here releases the tension on the blade. The blade just kind of rides on these wheels here, as you can see. And this is pretty good, you know, for, you know, cutting pipes, and, you know, you can cut wood with it if you need to, but it's not really necessarily the best functionality for it. It's more so for, you know, piping and stuff would be easy. Metal and PVC. You got a rafter hook there. And yeah, it's just like as you get into tools and you start to recognize what you can accomplish with tools, your mind just continues to expand. Hold on. Excuse me. Your mind just continues to expand, and what I mean by that is, like, it's kind of like if, well, never mind. The bottom line is, it's a useful tool, and you know, I don't use it that much. It's more of a specialty tool for me, but I do have it, and, you know, yeah, it's a portable bandsaw. This here is a tool that I kind of love to hate. It is a Ryobi 18-volt caulk gun, and I can't say that there's anything wrong with it. For the longest time, this thing was covered. As you can see, there's still some caulking in there. This thing was like covered in caulk, and just, you know, it just kind of sat for a long period of time. And the only reason why that is because I am terrible at caulking, and, you know I can get better, but typically when I am doing a caulking job, it is a job where I have to use the stuff that's for like bathrooms or kitchens, that's really sticky, and it's not super water soluble, and I just make a complete mess. What I need to do, and I always tell myself I'm going to do it, but because I don't have a reason to, is to buy the water soluble caulking and to practice with that to get better. But I always seem to wait until I need it for the bathroom or the kitchen, and it doesn't make sense to use, like, it's painter's caulk is what it is. The painter's caulk is the one that's like water soluble and easy to work with, but the one for the bathroom that's got the mildew resistance and 25-year lifespan allegedly, which it doesn't last that long, it's pretty sticky and nasty to work with. And so that's why this is a tool that I love to hate. It's a good concept, and actually I've purchased a regular manual one, because sometimes this kind of gets out of hand for me. You got your speed control slow, and then going all the way up to fast, and then you've got your apparatus to poke the hole so that you can get the caulking to come out. Now obviously when you have the manual ones, they typically have in the handle an area where you can actually, or in the trigger where you can actually cut the tip of the hole or of the tube, so that you can get it to come out of the end. Well, with this particular one, it doesn't have anything like that, so you need to have a razor knife or something like that on hand to actually cut off the tip so that you can get going with this tool. So I've used it. It is an intimidating tool for me, only because I usually make a horrible mess, but I do vow to get better at that. And one of the ways that I want to do that is, my plan is to eventually build a faux wall, a fake wall. And with this fake wall, I want to actually put tile on it, like a wall with a little floor, just very tiny, just something to practice stuff like drywall, tiling, and caulking. And just to kind of get those skills up or whatever, because that's not something that you do every day if that's not your occupation, but it's super handy skills to have. So that's my goal: build a fake wall with a little bit of fake floor, just a really tiny one, and then practice doing tile work, drywall work, and caulking. So that's that. Is my AC powered belt sander by Ryobi. This tool, it's okay. I mean, I wouldn't say it's good at all. Like, the last time I used it, man, this belt just kept running off of the tool, and I had to keep releasing here, pushing the belt back on, and then go again. It could be that this piece of sandpaper may be something up with that, maybe it's stretched out or something, but just not super impressed with this tool. I mean, to be quite honest, I bought this before I bought the planer. And when you recognize that, a sander like this is aggressive, but it's not like a planer. And I think when I purchased it, I was purchasing this thinking that I could do planer like duties. That's my inexperience. And it just didn't do it. And I didn't really find this to be, you know, the most useful tool for me. Now I was going to actually replace this with, I think the only one that's battery operated is made by Rigid, but that would have been the only Rigid tool that I would have had in my shop. So I kind of held out on that. And since then, I have learned that I want to say it's the Festool Rotex, that it kind of gives like a belt sander type of quality with its gear drive. So now that's like $600, but maybe one day I will replace this with a Rotex 150, but that day is not today. So anyways, that's my belt sander. I still will use it when I need to, but I don't find it the most enjoyable tool to use. And you know, the belts just come off of it too easily for me. So it's got a little dust bag here, you know, still, you know, gets dust everywhere. I mean, it's just a tool. I mean, and it does work. It does work. It just, you know, to me, it's just not a very precise, you know, tool. And it just seems like, you know, as I said, you know, when you use it and the belt keeps coming off, it's just frustrating. But if you're patient in regards to that, over time, you know, you'll get whatever sanding you need to get done when you need something that's this aggressive. So anyways, that's the Ryobi belt sander. This here is the Ryobi 18 volt skill saw. I'm trying to see what size it is. Can't see it on the blade here. 5.5 inch. Yep. 5.5 inch 18 volt skill saw. You know, you've got your little aluminum plate. This is not a precision tool. It's just a saw for getting things sawed, just cutting things. So you can cut some 2x4s and such with this. This is the saw that came with that drill. Very, very rudimentary circular saw. If you're just doing a basic job or a very small job, it probably wouldn't be a terrible kit to get if you're only doing it once or twice. That comes with the drill, which is this here, this kit, and it may have come with that light as well. I'm not 100% sure, but very inexpensive. You know, it cuts wood, it does that, and this drill. So there's not much I can say about it. I did use it quite a bit when I had my Milwaukee circular saw attached to the Craig Rip Guide. This gave me just a secondary saw to use, and you know, so I didn't have to take that one off and, you know, get it realigned. Again, my Ryobi 5.5 inch 18 volt circular saw. Batteries, I have this 6-bay Ryobi 1 Plus supercharger. It charges the batteries sequentially, so it doesn't do them all at the same time. It does have a USB port over here, and it's convenient because I can keep 6 batteries charged up at a time. And you know, it's just a charger. You got your LED indicators up here, and I mean, it's not much to say. It's just a charger, and it charges. I've had it for a while. It hasn't failed me yet, so if you're into Ryobi tools, this may not be a bad purchase for you to have multiple batteries on tap. Here is my Ryobi 40 volt charger. It's not a rapid charger, supercharger, or anything like that. This actually came, I believe, with my my weed eater, and obviously this 40 volt 2.6 amp hour battery. Since I only have a couple tools that use this battery, this is the only battery I have, and this is the only charger I have, and it's worked out for me so far. So there's that, my 40 volt Ryobi charger and battery. Here is my Ryobi 30-minute charger. I don't remember if I bought this separate or if it came with a kit, but this is the charger that I use if I need to charge up a battery faster and I don't want to wait for the 6-bay sequential charger. So if I was actually doing active work and I need to rotate my batteries out, this is the charger that I use. So this is the only one I have. I have several of the regular chargers around here, but I don't even use those because I have the 6-bay charger and I have this one. So again, there's my Ryobi 30-minute charger. So this here is my Ryobi 7 1/4 miter saw. It is not a compound miter saw. It's just a simple like chop miter saw. You've got your dust port back here, your adjustment for the actual miter. You've got your miter gauge, 45 to 45 on each side, 7.5-inch blade. You've got your Allen key for changing the blade. It does have a laser function, but on mine it is broken. It's hanging right there. And you've got your pull to raise the saw. This, in my opinion, is about on the same quality as that 5.5-inch circular saw. It cuts wood. That's what it does. Nothing special at all. The laser was not accurate when it was working, but you know, if you want to cut a 2x4, you can do it with this. So this is my Ryobi 7 1/4-inch miter saw. One day, possibly I'll be replacing it with the Milwaukee 7 1/4 miter saw, which is a compound miter saw and a sliding compound miter saw at that. I may do it, but I think this tool is probably like $79 and then Milwaukee is like $450. So, you know, there's quite the price difference. But there again, my Milwaukee 7 1/4 miter saw. So where I live here in America, it gets hot. So I have here a Ryobi. This is the One Plus. It has the AC and battery function. It is a small fan with 2 speeds. As you can see there, you've got 1 and 2. It actually has the functionality where it can kind of hang on things. It's got a little hook on the bottom, and it works in a pinch. It's okay, but when this does not serve the purpose, I do have 3 of these Ryobi fans. They're called the air cannons, and they actually have also, they run on AC and or the battery, 18-volt battery, and it has 3 speeds for these. So that's those 3 air cannons Ryobi. I use these quite often in the summertime, and I'll also use them sometimes in the gym room when I work out, but I haven't been in there in a while. My Ryobi scroll saw. It is a 16-inch scroll saw. I've owned it for quite a while, and I do use it sparingly. I actually was trying to teach my kids a little bit of woodworking on this tool, because it's, you know, easy for me to kind of stand over them while using it, and they can make little small crafts. So it's pretty cool for that reason. I've never owned a higher quality scroll saw, so I can't speak to that functionality of, you know, how good this is, but it cuts wood. You've got a little table that bevels to 45 degrees down there, dust port, on-off switch, and a speed control here. The blade change on this is not super hard, and yeah, I mean, it's a scroll saw for nice little crafty type products, or nice little crafty type projects. I think I'm starting to get tired of talking about all these tools, but we're gonna punch through to the end. All right, so here we have my Ryobi router table. As you can see here, it's covered in dust, and it has a Ryobi router on the bottom. This is not the plunge base router, this is the base router. The table has a little power on switch, so you can plug your router directly into this, and it actually has 2 AC plugs on the bottom. You've got your feather board cover. You've got a dust chute on the back here. Adjustable fence here on the back. You've got your little gauge for measurement here on both sides, and it also has a ruler here on the front. So I use this. I need to get better at using the router, and so I'm glad that I bought something that was fairly inexpensive to start, so that I could kind of, you know, not tear up something that's super nice. And that, you know, that's one of the benefits to buying a Ryobi tool, because, you know, you're not quite as invested. So if things don't go as you would like, you know, it's not the end of the world. This here is my Ryobi benchtop bandsaw. It's nice to use. It's not super powerful. It's not great for resawing lumber or anything like that. Very kind of cheaply made. You know, you got your little wheels here and the blade. AC powered tool, obviously. For if you're like just a small time hobbyist, you know, like myself, this would be, you know, perfectly fine to use. But obviously, if you want to get into resawing, you would need something substantially more powerful than this. So, but that's my Ryobi benchtop bandsaw, and right next to it, I have my Ryobi drill press. It's got one of my Forstner bits in it, and you know, it does the job. Now, the one thing I'll say, so let me give the disclaimer. This is the tool that I purchased, that I unboxed. I used it like one time, and then I got real busy doing other things, and I didn't use it. And then I went back to use it again. It just didn't turn on. And luckily it was under the 3-year warranty with Ryobi, and I took it to the shop, and they, you know, the service center that they had me take it to, and they basically said it's fried, you know, and they had to give me a brand new one. So I don't have a lot of confidence in this product, but you know, I had paid for it. I have it. It's going to be one of your cheaper drill presses to buy. You've got your little depth gauge here on the side. Here you've got, I believe it has like a laser on it, and then your on-off switch. You've got your Allen key here. It's a pretty heavy tool. The motor's back there on the back, but yeah, that's the Ryobi benchtop drill press. And like, if you're just getting started out in woodworking, these are not bad tools to own. You know, this way, as I said, you're not overly invested, but you know, you're able to do some tasks. A Ryobi specialty tools. It is a backpack sprayer. Runs on 18-volt battery down here. It is a 4-gallon sprayer, and it's a backpack sprayer, so you can walk around with it on your back. I used it this past summer, and it works. It works pretty. It does the job. It does the job. I wanted really badly to get the Milwaukee one, but I believe it was like out of stock everywhere for a while, probably because of, you know, the global supply. And then the other thing is, when I read the reviews on the Milwaukee, you know, it wouldn't empty out the container. So it's their first version. So sometimes when people design something for the first time, it's just not, you know, they don't get out all the kinks. Down here you have your flow that you can reach easily while it's on your back. Just kind of reach back with your left hand. And you've got your power sprayer and nozzle here. And it's just a simple backpack sprayer. You can spray weed killer or insect repellent, whatever. And yeah, 18-volt Ryobi backpack sprayer. It's kind of cool. They make a lot of things, but they don't make a track saw. Right here is my first power sprayer that I purchased, Ryobi power sprayer. It is a gas powered Honda motor. It is the 3100 psi, 2.5 gallon per minute. It's got the 190 engine in it. And I bought this when we were living 2 places ago. Not here, not the previous place, but the place before that. They had like some moss on the concrete, and it was just terrible to kind of try to clean that up by hand or with a scrub brush. So I went out and bought this power sprayer, and it made short work of that. So I was super happy with that. And plus, you know, whenever there's no water restrictions, I can wash my own car. So, and you get a better quality job as opposed to going to pay for one of those like automatic car washes or whatever. You pay the money and then your car's still dirty. This here is a more recent purchase. This is like a concrete cleaner, whatever. I bought this one recently because it actually works with the 2500 to 3300 psi machines. Prior to that, I was using this 2000 psi cleaner on this machine, and it was not doing a very good job. So I upgraded to that one. And basically, this requires gas. And over time, you know, cleaning the car frequently, not wanting to get gas, I actually purchased this 2000 psi electric 1.2 gallon per minute sprayer. And I'll use this one a lot for cleaning the car. Sometimes I'll use it for other things too, but obviously it's not as powerful, but it is more convenient because I don't have to go get gas. This one here, it needs a full tune-up. I need to change the carburetor and change the oil and all that because it idles pretty hard. Still works, but I just need to service it before it actually is destroyed. This one here doesn't require any service, so that's the benefit and what I like about this one. But yeah, I have 2 power sprayers, so it is what it is. So this here is my Ryobi shop vac. It's a cordless shop vac, wet dry vac. It actually accepts the 18 volt battery here. It's got the what do you call it, the wands and attachments here. There are other attachments. They're packed away in a tub, and the hose as well. Now, as you see here, this is what you can have a problem with sometimes with Ryobi quality. This still works, but as you can see, the switch is busted up there, but it does work. So you have to be careful about it. That's the one thing about Ryobi. It could be hit or miss, but it does still work. And the benefit is that it is battery operated. It's nice because it's on wheels. So if you're going out to, like, say, vacuum the car or something, this is not a bad option. The one thing I would say about this Ryobi shop vac though is it is piercing loud to me. I don't like the fact that it's so loud, but it works. It's, you know, it's a shop vac. So battery life is not super great. I do use, I think it's 6 amp hour batteries on it. I don't have the 12 or 9, whatever the big one is, because those seem to be another product that seems to be out of stock all the time. And just based upon the quality of this or whatever, the loudness, I'm not the biggest fan of this, but it works. You know, you could use it, you know, wear some earmuffs, I guess. All right, and this would have been cool if it was actually had the ability to plug in the extension cord as well. That would have made this a really nice product, but of course, you know, companies don't think like that all the time. Is a tool that I really like, and I was using it quite a bit. And what it is the Ryobi 40 volt. It's a 40 volt tool. As you can see, the housing for the 40 volt battery. This is the Ryobi vac leaf vacuum. It's a leaf vacuum and mulching system. I actually had a corded one that worked pretty well, and but this right here works nice because it's battery operated. You know, you can drive it all around the yard and pick up leaves, and you know, there's a big bag that attaches to right here. It's over there somewhere else in the garage. I like this tool. However, I'm sad because I had it stacked up on a shelf or something. I just placed it there and it fell. And as you can see, it cracked and this piece came out. So it's not functioning now. This is not actuating properly. So I do plan on I haven't thrown it away yet because I do have the tool to be able to take this apart. It just looks like a star bit. I'm gonna take all of this off and see if I can actually repair it, because you know, prior to it breaking, I was actually kind of thinking about getting another one and figuring out a way to attach two of them together to give you more of a capacity, because this isn't very big for picking up the leaves. But it's a nice product, but you know, it'd be nice if it was actually like as wide as a lawnmower to be able to pick up leaves. But of course, then it probably wouldn't be battery operated. The other thing that I was going to do is, because when you're using this, you have to hold it up like this, and you see you got the wheels there to roll it, and so the weight, you know, the bag attaches here and the weight of the leaves and stuff kind of gets heavy. I was going to make it to where it had wheels on the back as well. So I was going to alter this to where it would be two of them working together, and it would have back wheels, so you'd kind of push it. It'd be, you know, you just push it around and vacuum up all the leaves. But we'll see. If I can't fix it, I'm definitely not going to buy another one. But you know, this is the tool that was going to make me consider buying another 40-volt battery, because you know, I enjoyed the use of it so much. You know, it's so much nicer to be able to just vacuum up those leaves. It just needs a better option for you know, the leaves here, like maybe, you know, build a box or something with wheels to where the leaves keep coming, because once the bag gets full or whatever, once it gets jammed up, obviously you got to kind of dig it out. So if it had a better a larger opening to go into the bag, or if you had a bigger container with wheels, it would be a lot more comfortable tool to use. But it's very convenient because you can go all around your yard without a cord, which I find, you know, I really like cordless technology. So this is a tool by Ryobi that I was impressed with. I'm not saying it was super powerful, but it did work. It did what I wanted to do. Now, if you let your leaves sit on the ground and start turning into mulch, it's not as nearly as effective. It doesn't pick up rocks. It doesn't pick up heavy items. But like when the leaves first fall and they go down, this will suck them up. And now, you know, as I said, if you have a big yard or if you have a lot of leaves, you're gonna need a lot of batteries. But here where I'm living, the yards aren't that big, so this actually worked out okay for me. This is another tool by Ryobi that I liked. It is a 40-volt weed trimmer. It is the Ryobi expanded model with the, you know, power head here, and then it attaches the different heads by taking this knob off here. The actual tip is the head is one of the kinds where you could just stick the plastic thread through and then just kind of pull it even, and then you just turn this on the bottom to you know, pull the string in. So it's kind of rapid loading. It's not quite like the Ego that's the power loader, but it is rapid and more convenient than the old school where you have to take this bottom off and wind it up. It's fairly powerful, right, for a weed trimmer. And the expanded, you know, it has to be powerful because I've got a couple heads here, one of them being a mulcher or whatever, or a tiller or whatever, and I use this quite a bit I really like it. I've used it to tear out weeds multiple times, multiple seasons. Unfortunately, the weeds keep growing back, even though I tear it out and put down grass seed, but it does tear it up, at least initially. The other head that I have for this expanded Ryobi 40 volt tool is the brush trimmer, which is these metal blades here, which is good for heavy brush or whatever. You got to be careful with it, obviously, because it's metal. You can really cut yourself up. But this whole little setup, I have been impressed with this particular setup here. The Ryobi expanded with the tiller and this brushed head. Now, the majority of my lawn equipment, they're all Ego, and the only reason why I didn't get the Ego version of this or this is because this was not available when it came out, and I still don't believe Ego makes something like this. So or else I would not have this Ryobi setup. I would have an Ego setup. I do have an Ego expanded tool or head, power head, but and I haven't bought this with Ego, and obviously, like I said, I don't think they have this. So the reason why I bought this whole setup was because I wanted this tiller and because it runs on the 40 volt battery right here. So overall, I like the Ryobi 40 volt line, but I'm just not sold on it. So I've stuck with the Ego, with the exception of this one tool because of this head and this head. You know, because if you only invested by one tool, it is what it is. Now, I do run into problems because I only have the one battery. So between these devices and that leaf blower, the leaf mulcher, the vacuum that I showed you, you know, I have to kind of break my job up. But as I said, the yards here where I'm living are pretty small, so I don't have a big problem with that. I'm actually considering seriously moving on to the Milwaukee outdoor power equipment. We'll see. They're coming out with a lawnmower. It's super expensive because I did upgrade my Ego lawnmower and it actually stopped working, I think, in like a week. So I took it back and it was pretty expensive. So I will be doing a video going over all of my Ego gear coming up. I believe this wraps up my Ryobi equipment tour. Now, I do have a Ryobi tape measure, which I could not find, and it doesn't work anyway. If you're only doing one job or a job every now and then it may be worth it to invest in the Ryobi line because it is cheaper with most things, not all things, and Ryobi has been raising their prices lately, so that may not always be the case. But you know, by comparison to Milwaukee and DeWalt tools where you can really spend a whole lot of money, the Ryobi offers a great alternative for someone that maybe is just doing a project here and there, and you know, it's something that you could try out. You're not gonna get the same features that you may get on maybe a Milwaukee or a DeWalt tool, but again, if you stayed to the end of the video, hopefully you found something that was insightful to you. See you in my next video. Take care, be safe.